My mom told everyone I was too unstable to manage my own money. She changed her tone the moment the lawyer pressed play on her own recorded phone calls. But before we get to that conference room, before the forensic accountants, the 67-page dossier, and the look of absolute ruin on her face, you need to understand the Easter Sunday dinner where she decided to destroy me. It was early April. The kind of spring day that feels expensive. We were at my Aunt Sarah's house. You know the type. White carpets you're terrified to step on. Coasters that are purely decorative. The air smells like potpourri and judgment. I was sitting at the end of the table near the kitchen door. The kids' spot. I am 26 years old. I manage a logistics team for a mid-sized shipping firm. I own my own condo. I have a 401k. But to the 6 people at this table, I was still just Elena's difficult daughter. My mother, Elena, stood up to make a toast. She tapped her fork against a crystal wine glass. A glass filled with a distinct vintage of Pinot Noir that costs $45 a bottle. I knew the price. As I bought the case, I watched her fingernails, freshly manicured, a soft blush pink, tap against the glass. Family, she began, her voice trembling with that practiced theatrical vibrato she uses when she wants sympathy. I just want to say how hard it is to be a mother. She paused for effect. To give everything. Your youth. Your body. Your savings. Only to have a child who struggles so much. She looked directly at me. The whole table turned. My Aunt Sarah. My Uncle Bob. My cousins Jessica and Mike. Even the golden retriever seemed to look at me with pity. My stomach tightened. I put down my fork. I hadn't taken a bite of the ham yet. I suddenly wasn't hungry. Maya has been having a hard time, Mom sighed, placing a hand on her chest. Professionally. Emotionally. It's been keeping me up at night. I'm so worried about her future. She took a sip of the wine I paid for. But I've made a decision. Tough love. I'm cutting her off. No more bailouts. No more paying her rent. She needs to learn to stand on her own 2 feet. The room murmured approvingly. So brave, Elena, Aunt Sarah whispered, shaking her head sadly. It's the only way they learn, Uncle Bob grunted. My mouth fell open. I looked around the table waiting for the punchline. Here is the reality. The check for the wine. Me. The lease on the Mercedes C-Class sitting in the driveway, the one she drove here. Me. The mortgage on the family condo she lives in. Me. For 4 years since I was 22, I have auto-drafted $2,500 into her account on the 1st of every month. I did it because she told me Dad left us with nothing. I did it because she said she was too frail to work full-time after the divorce. I worked double shifts. I ate ramen. I didn't buy new clothes for 3 years. I sold my furniture on Facebook Marketplace when I came up short, just so she wouldn't lose our home. No. She was telling them she was cutting me off? I started to stand up. My chair scraped loudly against the hardwood. Mom, I said, my voice shaking. What are you talking about? I pay for. Sit down, Maya, she snapped. Her voice changed instantly from mournful to sharp. See. She gestured to the family. This is what I mean. The outbursts. The confusion. It's getting worse. She looked at Aunt Sarah, tears welling in her eyes. Real tears. She's very good at that. She's been claiming she gives me money. Can you believe that? My poor confused girl. She thinks her little data entry job pays for my lifestyle. It's delusional. It's part of the condition. I froze. Data entry job? I'm a senior logistics manager. I make 6 figures. He knows this. I showed her my offer letter 3 years ago because I was so proud. She had hugged me and said, "Good, now we can fix the roof." I've been speaking with a specialist, she continued, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. We think she needs a conservatorship. Just temporary. Until she's stable. To protect her from herself. I sat back down. I didn't scream. I didn't flip the table. I felt a coldness spread from my chest to my fingertips. It wasn't sadness. It was clarity. I looked at her. Wearing the pearls I bought her for Christmas. Drinking the wine I paid for. Planning to take away the freedom I starved myself to earn. She wasn't just ungrateful. She was plotting a coup. He thought she saw a broken daughter. A girl who would cry and beg and apologize for causing a scene. She didn't realize she was looking at a logistics manager who solves international supply chain crises for a living. I took a sip of water. And I decided right then and there that Elena wasn't just going to lose her free ride. She was going to lose everything. The drive home was silent. Usually she'd call me to recap the dinner, to critique my outfit, to ask why I didn't smile enough. Tonight, radio silence. She thought she had won. She thought she had shamed me into submission. I got home to my apartment. Not the condo she lives in. My actual apartment. It's small. A one-bedroom 30 minutes from the city. She's never seen it. She thinks I live in a squalid little rental because that fits her narrative. But it's mine. I walked in, kicked off my heels and walked straight to my desk. I didn't turn on the TV. I didn't call my best friend. I opened my laptop. Step 1. Assessment. I logged into my bank account. Then I logged into hers. Yes, I had her passwords. She made me set them up 3 years ago because she isn't good with computers, and the buttons confuse her. I downloaded everything. 5 years of statements. Every transfer. Every check. Every withdrawal. And that's when I saw it. The reason for the sudden conservatorship talk. The catalyst. See, 3 days prior I had made a mistake. A sloppy, tired mistake. I had left a document on her kitchen counter when I dropped off her groceries. It was a quarterly statement from my high-yield savings account. I usually keep that paper trail invisible. But I had been in a rush. The balance on that statement, $310,450. I'm aggressive with savings. I live on nothing. I invest everything. I've been lucky with the market. She must have seen that number. To her, that wasn't my retirement. That wasn't my safety net. That was her back pay. That was the reimbursement for 22 years of raising a child she clearly resented. I stared at the screen. She didn't want to help me. She wanted to liquidate me. The next morning the war began. I was at my desk at work. 9:15 a.m. My phone rang. It was Mark Henderson, my financial advisor. Mark is a good guy. A by-the-book guy. He sends me Christmas cards with pictures of his golden retrievers. Maya. He sounded strained. I just got off the phone with your mother. My stomach dropped. The office noise, the printers, the typing faded away. What did she say, Mark? She was crying, Maya. Hysterically. He paused, shuffling papers. She said you're in the middle of a mental health crisis. She said you've been threatening self-harm if you can't access your funds to buy illicit substances. I felt the blood drain from my face. Drugs. She told you I'm on drugs. She was very convincing, Maya. She said you were spiraling. And he hesitated. She faxed over a power of attorney document. She says you signed it this morning. I stood up. I walked to the window. I looked down at the parking lot, focusing on a red car. Just breathing. I didn't sign anything, Mark. I've been at work since 7:30. I'm fine. I'm sober. I'm sane. I figured, he said, his voice lowering. The signature looked off. Looked traced. But Maya, she's not stopping with me. She told me she's calling compliance. She said she's going to call your HR department to warn them you're a liability. My mother wasn't just greedy. She was nuclear. She knew exactly where to hit me. In my industry, finance and logistics, reputation is currency. You handle millions of dollars of inventory. If I'm flagged as unstable or an addict, I lose my security clearance. I lose my job. I lose my career. Mark, I said, my voice deadly calm. Listen to me very carefully. Do not transfer a dime. Do not speak to her again. Lock the account. Put a verbal password on it. Bluebird. If the caller doesn't say Bluebird, hang up. Done, Mark said. But Maya, if she has a power of attorney, even a fake one, she can cause real trouble. You need a lawyer. I know, I said. I hung up. I sat there for 10 minutes. The old Maya, the scared little girl who just wanted her mom to love her, wanted to call her, to beg, to ask why $2,500 a month wasn't enough, to ask why she hated me this much. But the old Maya died at the Easter table. I picked up the phone and dialed a number I had saved for work emergencies. A heavy hitter. Mr. Sterling? I said. This is Maya. I need to retain you. Personally. What's the situation? his gravelly voice asked. Attempted fraud, identity theft, and financial abuse. Who is the target? My mother. To understand why this betrayal broke me, you have to understand the history. I wasn't born into money. We were broke. Boys. Dad left when I was 6. He left us with a mortgage we couldn't afford, a leaky roof, and a mountain of credit card debt. Mom fell apart. Completely. She didn't look for work. She looked for sympathy. I can't do this, Maya, she'd say, lying in bed at 2 p.m. with the curtains drawn, smelling of stale lavender and depression. The world is too hard for soft people like me. I'm too fragile for this. So I became hard. I had to. I got my first job at 14. Under the table washing dishes at a diner on Route 9. My hands were always chapped, red and raw from the industrial soap. Every Friday I cashed my check, $60 maybe $80, and put the cash in an envelope. I handed it to her. She'd count it, smile that beautiful watery smile, and say, "You're saving us, baby. You're my little angel." That smile was my drug. I was addicted to fixing her. I missed my junior prom to work a double shift because the electric bill was overdue. I skipped my college graduation ceremony because the gown rental was $60 and we needed groceries. I built my entire identity around being the provider, the fixer, the strong one. And what did I get? Gaslighting. Systematic, relentless gaslighting. If I bought myself a coffee, I was selfish. If I mentioned I was tired, I was ungrateful. I gave up my life for you, she'd say, eyeing my $5 latte. My figure. My career. My happiness. The least you can do is make sure I'm comfortable. Comfortable. That was the word she used. I just want to be comfortable. But her definition of comfortable kept expanding. First it was just the mortgage. Then it was the car. Then it was the image. While I drove a 2008 Honda Civic with a taped-up bumper and no AC, she leased a Mercedes because appearances matter for the family reputation. Reputation? We were nobodies. But she needed the neighbors to think we were somebodies. While I shopped at Goodwill and ate peanut butter sandwiches for dinner, she needed the premium cable package, the bi-weekly manicures, and the country club membership. She didn't golf. She didn't play tennis. She just went for lunch. To eat Cobb salads and complain about how difficult her daughter was. I enabled it. I know that now. I thought I was being a good daughter. I thought if I paid enough, eventually she'd be happy. Eventually she'd say, "Okay, Maya. That's enough. I'm proud of you. Go live your life." But the bucket had a hole in it. And now she wasn't just asking for water. She wanted the well. Tuesday night. The bombardment began. My phone blew up. Texts from Aunt Sarah, Aunt Linda, Cousin Mike. The flying monkeys, as my therapist calls them. "Your mother is worried sick, Maya. Call her. Why are you doing this to her? After everything she sacrificed. Just sign the papers, Maya. You clearly can't handle the stress of your job. Let her help you." She had launched a full-scale PR campaign. She told them I was off my meds. I'm not on meds. She told them I was gambling. I don't gamble. I think buying a lottery ticket is a waste of ROI. She told them I had stolen her retirement money and hidden it in my account. That was the masterstroke. She projected her theft onto me. I sat on my couch reading the messages. I wanted to scream. I wanted to screenshot my bank statements and blast them to the family group chat. I wanted to drive over there and shake her. But Mr. Sterling had given me strict instructions. "Do not engage," he had said, his voice low and serious. "The moment you argue, you look unstable. The moment you yell, you prove her point. We need to give her enough rope." "How much rope?" I asked. "Enough to hang her legal defense," he said. "We need her to put it in writing. We need her to commit the crime fully. We need her to think she's winning." So I went silent. I call it the gray rock method. You become as boring, unreactive, and dull as a gray rock. I didn't reply to the ants. I didn't block them either. I let them text. I screenshotted everything. Then I sent one text. To my mother. I typed it out, deleted it, typed it again. My hands were shaking. "Mom, I'm confused. I'm scared. Maybe you're right. Maybe I can't handle this money. Can we meet with Mark next week to talk about the trust?" She replied in 30 seconds. The typing bubble appeared instantly. "Oh, sweetie. Thank God. I'm just trying to protect you. I'll set it up." Next Thursday, 2 p.m. Bring your checkbook. She added a heart emoji. That red heart looked like a target. I put the phone down. I went to the bathroom and threw up. Then I washed my face, looked in the mirror and said, game on. For the next 7 days I lived a double life. By day I was at work excelling. I managed a logistics crisis in the Panama Canal without breaking a sweat. By lunch I was meeting with Mr. Sterling and a forensic accountant named David. David was a terrifying man. He wore glasses thick enough to start a fire and had zero sense of humor. He spoke in spreadsheets. I liked him immediately. We met in a small conference room at Sterling's firm. Here, David said, sliding a thick binder across the table. This is the preliminary audit. I opened it. I knew I sent her $2,500 a month. That was the agreed amount. But I didn't know about the rest. I looked at the numbers and the air left the room. Credit cards. David pointed a manicured finger at the page. 3 of them. Opened in your name when you were 18. She's been cycling debt on them for 8 years. Paying the minimums with your own money. The emergency loans. He flipped the page. She took out 2 personal loans against the condo. For home repairs. There were no repairs. The money went to a travel agency and a luxury handbag reseller. How much? I asked. My voice sounded small. Total misappropriated funds over 8 years, David said, looking me in the eye. $142,000. And change. I stared at the number. $142,000. That was my life. That was my overtime. That was every vacation I didn't take. Every dinner I skipped. It's grand larceny, Mr. Sterling said, chewing on a pen cap. And wire fraud. And identity theft. We have the IP addresses from the login attempts. It's her iPad. We have the forged signature on the power of attorney. It's sloppy work. She thinks I'm stupid, I said quietly. She thinks I'm just the checkbook. Narcissists always underestimate their victims, Sterling replied. They mistake kindness for weakness. On Thursday we correct that mistake. The week dragged on. Every day Mom sent me texts to keep me primed. Don't worry about the bills this month, honey. Once I control the trust, I'll give you an allowance. You won't have to stress about math anymore. An allowance. Of my own money. I looked at a nice treatment center for you today, she texted on Tuesday. Just for a rest. Yoga and therapy. You need a break. She was building the narrative. If I disappeared to a treatment center, she'd have full reign over the accounts. She also escalated the pressure. She showed up at my office building on Wednesday. I watched from the 3rd floor window as she tried to charm the security guard into letting her up. She was holding a casserole dish. The worried mother act. When security turned her away because I had put her on the banned list that morning, she stood in the lobby crying. Loudly. I just want to see my daughter. She's not well. Please, I have food for her. My coworkers walked by her. They looked uncomfortable. I received an email from HR an hour later. Subject. Visitor policy/welfare check. Maya, a woman claiming to be your mother caused a disturbance. She expressed concern for your safety. Do we need to involve authorities? I replied, she is estranged and attempting to harass me. Please deny entry. I am safe. I hit send. My hands were shaking again. Not from fear. From rage. She was trying to burn down my sanctuary. Keep going, Mom, I whispered to the glass window. Dig the hole deeper. Make sure everyone sees you holding the shovel. Thursday, 2 p.m. The day of the transfer. The financial advisor's office was in a glass building downtown. The conference room was imposing. Mahogany table. Leather chairs that cost more than my first car. A view of the city skyline that usually made me feel powerful. Today it felt like a courtroom. Mark, my advisor, looked nervous. He was sweating through his shirt. He knew something was going down, but he didn't know exactly what. I had kept him in the dark about the details to protect him from liability. She's here, Mark whispered, checking his phone. Mom walked in 10 minutes early. She was wearing a white suit. Very angelic. Very victim. She had her hair done. And she brought backup. Aunt Sarah walked in behind her, clutching a purse and looking grim. We're here for moral support, Mom announced. Great. A witness. This was getting better by the second. I walked in 5 minutes late. I wore a oversized gray hoodie and jeans. No makeup. Hair in a messy bun. I looked tired. I looked defeated. I wanted to sell the narrative one last time. Paya. Mom rushed over to hug me. She smelled like expensive perfume and betrayal. I let her hug me. I went limp. Like a rag doll. I'm so glad you're here, she whispered in my ear. We're going to fix everything. Mommy's going to take care of it. She sat at the head of the table. I sat on the side. Aunt Sarah patted my hand. It's for the best, dear. Your mother loves you so much. I didn't say anything. I just stared at the table. Okay, Mom said, clapping her hands. She was vibrating with excitement. She pulled a folder out of her Hermes bag. I have the documents here. My lawyer drew them up. It establishes the Maya Family Trust. I will be the sole trustee. It gives me full control over the assets, the condo and the savings, to be used for Maya's care and maintenance. She slid the papers toward Mark. We just need to transfer the funds. And Maya needs to sign here, here, and here. Mark looked at the papers. Then he looked at me. Maya? Do you understand what this document does? It effectively strips you of your financial autonomy. You are signing away your rights to your own accounts. I looked down at the table. I think so. Mom smiled. A predatory, satisfied smile. The kind a cat gives a mouse before the final bite. She understands Mark. She knows she's not well. She wants this. Don't you, sweetie? I reached for the pen. Mom leaned forward. Her eyes were wide. She was calculating the shopping spree she was going to go on by 5 p.m. The door to the conference room opened. Sorry I'm late, a voice boomed. Mr. Sterling walked in. He wasn't wearing a hoodie. He was wearing a $3,000 Navy suit and carrying a briefcase that looked like it contained nuclear launch codes. David, the forensic accountant, walked in behind him holding a laptop and a portable projector. 2 paralegals followed them carrying stacks of binders. Mom's smile faltered. Her eyes darted between me and Sterling. Who is this? She demanded. This is a private family meeting. I sat up straight. I pushed the hoodie back. I took a deep breath and the tired daughter vanished. I looked her dead in the eye. Actually, Mom, I said, my voice steady, clear, and loud. This is a deposition. I don't understand, she stammered. She looked at Aunt Sarah for help. Maya, send these people away. You're having an episode. Sit down, Elena, Mr. Sterling said. He didn't shout. He didn't have to. His voice had the weight of 30 years of litigation. You are going to want to sit down for this. Mom didn't sit. She bristled. She stood up taller. I am her mother. I demand to know who you are. I have power of attorney. We know who you are, David interrupted. He plugged the laptop into the conference room's HDMI port. A giant screen descended from the ceiling with a mechanical whir. Mom looked at it, then at me. Maya, what is this? Stop this nonsense immediately. This, I said, pointing to the screen, is the receipts. David hit a key. A spreadsheet appeared. Massive. Color-coded. The header read, Unauthorized Transfers and Fraudulent Activity, 2019 to 2023. Exhibit A, David narrated, his voice dry as dust. He used a laser pointer. Unauthorized credit lines opened using Maya's social security number. Dates correspond to IP addresses located at your residence. The screen showed the dates. The amounts. The stores. Nordstrom, $4,000. Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, $3,200. Saks Fifth Avenue, $1,500. Mom scoffed. She waved her hand dismissively. I helped her build credit. He asked me to. She forgot because of her confusion. Exhibit B, David continued, ignoring her completely. Forged checks. 24 of them. Totaling $12,000. Images of the checks popped up on the screen. We had a handwriting expert analyze these, Sterling added. It's a match to your signature, Elena. Not Maya's. She gave me that money. Mom shrieked. Her voice was climbing an octave. She turned to Aunt Sarah, grabbing her arm. She gave it to me. She said, Mom, buy yourself something nice. She's lying. Did she? Mr. Sterling asked. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small remote. Because we have the audio. Mom froze. What audio? From your phone call with your sister Linda on March 12th, Sterling said pleasantly. Would you like to hear it? Mom went pale. That's illegal. You can't record me. I never authorized. Actually, Sterling smiled, a shark showing its teeth. Arizona is a one-party consent state. And you weren't talking to Linda. He paused. You were talking to Maya's voicemail. He thought you hung up. You didn't. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. I remembered that voicemail. I listened to it every night for a week. It was my fuel. Sterling pressed play. The audio was crisp. It boomed through the surround sound speakers of the conference room. Mom's voice, recording. Ugh, finally she stopped calling. God, she's so needy. Look, I don't care if she has to sell the car. I need that $4,000 for the cruise deposit. Just tell her I'm sick again. Use the heart palpitations excuse. She falls for it every time. There was a pause in the recording. A laugh. She's pathetic, honestly. But she's a cash cow. As long as I keep her feeling guilty, she'll pay forever. Silence. Absolute, suffocating silence in the conference room. Aunt Sarah gasped. It was a wet, shocking sound. The recording continued. Mom's voice. I saw her bank statement. $300K. Can you believe it? Little Miss Miser. I'm going to get access. I'll tell the family she's having a breakdown. If I get power of attorney, that money is ours. I can finally get the kitchen redone. The recording ended with the sound of a car door slamming. I looked at Aunt Sarah. Her mouth was hanging open. She looked at her sister like she was seeing a stranger. Elena. Aunt Sarah whispered. You said she was on drugs. You said she was dangerous. You said you were scared of her. Mom stood up. Her face was patchy red. It's a fake. It's AI. They used AI to fake my voice. Maya is doing this to hurt me. Mr. Sterling laughed. A short bark of a laugh. Mrs. Davis, we have the metadata. We have the call logs from Verizon. And we have the sworn affidavit from the notary whose signature you forged on the power of attorney document you tried to give Mark this morning. He leaned forward. That's a felony, by the way. Forgery. Wire fraud. Elder abuse laws don't apply here, but financial exploitation does. You're looking at up to 7 years in prison. Mom froze. The word prison hit her like a physical blow. She slumped into her chair. The pearls rattled against the table. The victim, mask dissolved. Beneath it was just a scared, greedy bully who had finally been punched back. I finally spoke. Here is what is going to happen, I said. I slid a document across the table. It wasn't the trust she wanted. 1. You are signing a quitclaim deed on the condo. It's mine. You have 30 days to vacate. 30 days, she whispered. But, that's my home. It's my house, I corrected. You just live there. I continued. 2. You are removed as beneficiary on my life insurance, my 401k and my bank accounts. Immediately. 3. You will sign this admission of debt for the $142,000 you stole. I can't pay that, she sobbed. I don't have that kind of money. You know I don't. I know, I said coldly. I won't collect on it, unless. I leaned in. Unless you contact me, or any of my friends, or my employer, or anyone in this family with a lie about me. Ever again. I pointed to the paper. If you speak my name, I file the lawsuit. If you text me, I file the lawsuit. If you show up at my job with a casserole, I file the lawsuit. And I send you to jail. Mom looked at the paper. Then she looked at me, tears streaming down her face. Maya, she sobbed. I'm your mother. You can't evict me. Where will I go? How will I live? I felt a twinge. A tiny, conditioned reflex of guilt. It's hard to kill 20 years of training. Then I looked at the screen. At the cash cow comment. I remembered the ramen noodles. I remembered missing my graduation. I remembered the look on the security guard's face when she called me crazy. I looked at Mark, my advisor, who looked disgusted by her. I looked at Aunt Sarah, who was slowly scooting her chair away from Mom. You're resourceful, Mom, I said. You figured out how to steal my identity. You figured out how to manipulate an entire family. I'm sure you can figure out how to rent a one-bedroom apartment. I uncapped a pen. A cheap Bic pen. I slammed it onto the table. Sign it. Or Mr. Sterling calls the district attorney. He has the number on speed dial. She signed. Her hand shook so bad the pen skittered across the paper. She didn't look at me. Aunt Sarah stood up. "I can't drive you home, Elena," Aunt Sarah said. Her voice was shaking. I need to go call the family. I need to tell them the truth." Mom looked up horrified. "Sarah, no. Don't. They deserve to know," Sarah said. She looked at me. "I'm so sorry, Maya. We didn't know." "I know," I said. Sarah left. Mom signed the last page. She stood up. She looked smaller. Older. "You're ungrateful," she hissed, her voice low. "After everything I did for you." "You didn't do anything for me," I said. "You did things to me." I pointed to the door. "Get out." She left. The door clicked shut. The silence in the room wasn't heavy anymore. It was light. It was airy. Mark let out a huge breath. Holy cow. Mr. Sterling closed his briefcase. That went well. David unplugged the projector. "I'll send you the final invoice." I sat there for a moment. I looked at the empty chair where she had sat. I didn't feel happy. Not yet. But I felt light. I felt like I could finally breathe. The aftermath wasn't a movie montage. It was work. Real life is messy, and cleaning up a financial homicide takes time. It took 3 months to untangle the credit mess. I had to file police reports, dispute charges, and freeze everything. It took 2 weeks to change the locks on the condo after she moved out. She waited until the very last day of the 30-day notice. I went over there with a locksmith and a security team. She was gone. But she had left her mark. He trashed the place. Not in a destroy-the-walls way, she was too afraid of the lawsuit for that, but in a petty way. She left garbage bags in the hallway. She took the light bulbs. All of them. Even the ones in the refrigerator. She took the batteries out of the smoke detectors. She spilled red wine on the white carpet, the one she had screamed at me for stepping on with shoes, and left a note saying oops. I walked through the empty rooms. The ghost of her was everywhere. The smell of her perfume lingered. But she was gone. I hired a cleaning crew. I told them to throw everything away. "Everything?" the cleaner asked. "There are some drapes here that look expensive." "Everything," I said. "I want the walls bare." The family fallout was massive. Aunt Sarah was true to her word. He sent the recording to everyone. The aunts. The cousins. Even the distant relatives in Ohio who I haven't seen since I was 5. The cash cow audio file went viral in our family group chat. Mom tried to spin it. She posted on Facebook about how technology can be manipulated and ungrateful children break hearts. But the audio was undeniable. You can't AI generate the specific nickname she had for Aunt Linda, the leech. Oh yeah, that was on the tape too. Most of the family cut her off. Not everyone. Some people just can't handle conflict. But the ones that mattered, they apologized. Cousin Mike came over and helped me paint the condo. "I'm sorry I believed her," he said, rolling gray paint over the yellow walls she loved. She's really good at lying." "The best," I said. "She lives in a small apartment now. I hear through the grapevine she's working part-time as a receptionist at a dental office. She actually has to work. She has to wake up, commute, and answer phones for $15 an hour. Imagine that. She tried to sue me, of course. She found some strip mall lawyer to send a letter claiming undue influence. Mr. Sterling sent back a 1-page response attaching the signed admission of guilt and the audio file. We never heard from them again. As for me, kept my job. I actually got promoted. My boss told me I seemed more focused lately. It turns out when you aren't spending 80% of your brain power managing a narcissist's emotions, you have a lot of energy for supply chain logistics. Mark, my advisor, apologized profusely. We moved my assets into a trust that is bulletproof. It requires 2 signatures and a biometric scan to access. And the trustee? Me. Just me. But the real victory wasn't the money. And it wasn't the condo. It happened last Saturday. I was sitting on the balcony of the condo. It looks different now. I ripped out the white carpet and put in hardwood. I painted the walls a deep, calming blue. I bought furniture that I like. Big, comfy chairs that you can actually sit in. I was drinking coffee. Cheap coffee. Kind I like. And I was reading a book. Just reading. My phone rang. It was an unknown number. I knew it was her. She gets burner phones sometimes. Or borrows a friend's phone to try and bypass the block. She gets desperate for attention. She needs the supply. I looked at the screen. Unknown caller. In the past, my heart would have hammered. My hands would have shaken. I would have felt that crushing weight of guilt. Maybe she's hurt. Maybe she needs me. Maybe she's changed. I looked at the phone. I didn't feel guilt. I didn't feel fear. I didn't feel anger. I just felt bored. I realized I didn't care what she had to say. I didn't care if she was sorry. I didn't care if she was angry. I didn't care if she was in the hospital or on a yacht. He was a stranger. A stranger who owed me $142,000. I declined the call. I blocked the number. I put the phone down on the table face down. I looked out at the view. My view. My city. My life. She spent 22 years training me to be her servant. He pushed me to be tough. He pushed me to be a survivor. She pushed me to handle crisis without cracking. She built a weapon to protect herself. He sharpened me. She honed me. He tempered me in fire. She just forgot one very important rule of weapon making. Weapons don't choose their targets. The wielder does. And when she pointed me at myself, when she tried to make me destroy my own life, I turned around. And I fired. I took a sip of my coffee. Tasted like victory. And $45 Pinot Noir? Honestly, it's overrated. Freedom tastes a hell of a lot better. So if you are listening to this and you are the fixer in your family, if you are the one writing the checks, if you are the one swallowing the insults because that's just how she is, if you are the one lighting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, so just stop. Check your bank account. Check your credit report. And listen to the voicemails they leave when they think you aren't listening. You might find out you aren't the difficult child. You aren't the unstable one. You're just the bank. And banks can close. I closed mine. And I have never been richer.